Today we'll be doing a bit of a different style of video. This is my Joja Movie Theater world record run, which I completed offline from my stream. I'll be narrating the run as I watch it back. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy. So as we get started here and go through our standard settings for Stardew speedrunning, there's two main questions I get asked at the very beginning of most of my speedruns, and the first one is, Cord, why do you delete all the furniture when you start? And the second one, which you'll see in a second, is why do you hoe out such a strange pattern for your parsnips? So the first thing that we do is delete all the furniture. That fills up our inventory, which has the effect of making the parsnip package from Mayor Lewis pop right into our inventory while skipping that cutscene, which saves about 10 seconds. And second of all, it clears our house of furniture, which will be annoying later, so we go ahead and get rid of that early. The other thing is the strange parsnip pattern. That's a little harder to explain, but essentially what we're doing is probing the RNG of the game. So since we don't use any sort of set seed, we don't really know what any of our settings are. For example, where we're going to get monster floors in the mines. And hoeing out that specific pattern, I know, based on whether I get clay or not on specific tiles, that gives me information on whether I'll have monster floors in the mines on days 5 and 6. This is a pretty advanced technique that was invented by Blade, and we're going to use that to our advantage here. So I got clay on a spot that I know means that when I go to the mines on either day 5 or day 6, I won't get any monster floors all the way from floors 1 through 20. We want to skip monster floors because they take a long time to clear. We get good luck here on day 5, which means we're going directly to the mines. Day 5 is the first day that the mines are open on any Stardew save, and coincidentally that lines up with when our parsnips are finished growing, which we will take with us for extra energy. I'm going to be checking the bus stop here for additional forwardables. The name of the game here is getting energy. We plan to go 40 entire floors in the mines today, all the way from floor 1 to floor 40. We're going to need quite a bit of energy to do that, so we're going to be harvesting these forageables that we see, as well as the parsnips that I already mentioned. Our main goal in the mines will be to collect over the course of this day and the next day that we go, which is Mines Day 2. The goal will be to collect 110 copper ore, 70 iron ore, about 29 coal, and roughly 3,000 gold worth of sellable items. We'll also be reaching floor 40, as I mentioned. So you see me running through here collecting all the forageables that I see. The mines is a really interesting part of Stardew speedrunning. I could really do an entire separate video on the mines if I wanted to. There's just so much going on here, and it's really hard to explain all of it, but basically all of the RNG patterns that exist in the mines, most of them are known to the player through either just repetition or various types of code diving and predicting softwares that have been developed by the community over the years. One of those in particular, and you'll see me exploiting this throughout the entire time I'm in the mines, is that ladders appear on a Knight's Move descending right pattern. If that sounds like a mouthful, basically it means that every down to right 1 from the current rock is the way that the ladder pattern operates. And the way we most optimally exploit that is whenever I break a rock, if I see that there is another rock on a down 2, right 1 pattern, I won't break that rock because I know that since the rock I broke didn't have a ladder, the one that is down 2, right 1 also cannot be a ladder. So we save energy and time that way by knowing which rocks are basically low priority. They have virtually no chance of being a ladder spot themselves. One of the other ways that we take advantage of this is a basically geode hunting, where we know that once we get a ladder, there's a pretty high chance that the rocks that are on that same Knight's Move pattern will contain geodes. It doesn't happen every time, but it's often enough that we're willing to do that to get an extra geode, because geodes are one of the main sellables that we'll be collecting today to reach the aforementioned about 3,000 gold that we'll need over the course of the 2 days that we're in the mines. The other main sellables are amethyst, topaz, quartz, earth crystal, bug's meat, slime sometimes, although I won't get any slime in this run, and geodes, as I mentioned. You can also occasionally get much higher value gems from gem nodes, which are the purple nodes. Although I don't remember if I get any in this run or not. I guess we'll find out together. In addition to rocks, monsters have a 15% chance to give ladders, so we're using that to our advantage. You saw we picked the remixed mines during the initial settings, so that has already worked out in our favor. We have a wooden blade, which is a slight upgrade from the rusty sword. It's not anything amazing, but it is slightly better at cutting through the enemies to give us those potential ladder spawn points. One of the hardest things about learning to do the mines in Stardew speedrunning is being able to optimally choose between going faster and collecting resources, especially copper ore, because copper ore takes extra energy to mine, but we do need 110 of it through the course of the 2 days that we're mining. So there's a very fine balancing act that I'm doing at all times. This is primarily through experience, to determine when I should be collecting the copper and when I should be skipping it, and prioritizing speed and depth. We're coming up on it here once we reach floor 24, so I'll talk for a minute about one of the other aspects of the mines that is an RNG that is essentially known to the player, and that is the contents of the crates that you can break on the preset floors, which are floors 3, 9. Geez, I'm on the spot here, so I might forget one, but basically the most important ones are 24 and 29, where those pads that have crates on them. And the contents of those crates are actually set to the day. So every time on any file, no matter what, doesn't matter what your game seed is, every time you come to the mines on day 5, the contents of a crate on any particular spot are always the same. We don't know where we'll actually get a crate, but we do know which tiles give which items if a crate happens to be there. So the main thing we're looking for there is a wooden club. We didn't get it, unfortunately. But we do know that if a crate spawns on the correct tile, we can get a wooden club on floor 24 on every single Friday the 5th, and Saturday the 6th is also valid place to get a club on floor 24. Virtually every speedrun that goes to the mines in Stardew takes advantage of that, because the wooden club is a highly effective weapon. It basically blows all the swords and daggers out of the water. It deals very high damage, and also you can use the right-click attack to do a spamming action where you hit the monster many times in a very fast sequence. It just absolutely shreds all of the monsters that you encounter on the earthen floors here, as well as the ice floors, which start at floor 40. So that weapon is extremely valuable, but we didn't get one on this run. Similarly, on floor 29, there is a high chance of getting a forest sword, which is not as powerful as the wooden club, but still quite good. A heck of a lot better than the wooden blade we're using. But we unfortunately failed to get the forest sword as well, so we are stuck with the wooden blade. Typically, I would actually reset the run at that point, because it's fairly devastating to not get an upgraded weapon in one of these runs, but we are very far ahead of average pace right now, entering floor 30 at about 2:30 p.m., which is extremely fast-paced, so I decided to continue to the run at this point. So we are on to the dreaded dark floors. However, earlier on I got a glow ring from floor 20, so that's going to help me out significantly here by making it much easier to see what I'm doing and where potential ladders are. You saw me just there. You might have to pause and rewind, but you saw me just there take advantage of my knowledge of the geodes, which I mentioned earlier. I had 2 geodes on a night move pattern, so that gives me information up front that there is a freebie on the floor, which I take advantage of there to go find without wasting a lot more energy breaking rocks that I don't need to. I take the time here to get an earth crystal because I feel like I'm low on money. We do need to get roughly 3,000 gold worth of sellables today, and earth crystal is worth 50, so it is worth my time to get since I plan to eat those parsnips anyway. These copper spawns that are appearing on these later floors are actually quite lucky, and I was very happy to see them because we were pretty low on copper up to this point. We've been going very fast, very nice pace, so the consequence of that is usually that you were pretty low on resources, and this run was no exception. So we were very low on copper we're getting to this point, but we actually get quite lucky here. And there's a large number of copper nodes on these last 2 floors, and then I believe the next few floors have quite a few as well, which really helps us make up our copper totals for day 1. Typically on these types of runs, I'm happy if I have anywhere between about 90 to the full 110 copper. There is some time to make up copper on day 2 if needed. But yeah, see, there's quite a few nodes here, and I have almost 100 already, so this was quite lucky, as I mentioned. At this point, I'm deciding to skip copper because I have 100 of it, and I'm getting pretty low on food. I just ate my last cave carrot, and I really need to hit floor 40 before the end of the day. So things are actually getting a little bit tight here. We're low on energy, and we still need to finish floor 39 as well. But as you can probably guess, since I did world record here, we are going to find the ladder before the end of our energy supply, which is helped greatly by getting that extra cave carrot. Yeah, we do lose quite a bit of time there to floor 39. A little bit unlucky, but really no complaints. This is a 6:20 finish to Mines Day 1. I'm typically happy with anything 8 p.m. or faster, so this is a very, very good finish to Mines Day 1. So to close out the day, we pass out by exhausting and to warp back to our house. We very quickly get another good luck day to do Mines Day 2. And day 6 is an optimal choice for us because we are hoping to get an upgraded weapon from the crates. And as I mentioned earlier, since crate spots are known, I do know that day 6 is a good day to potentially get an upgraded weapon, such as a forest sword or a wooden mallet or a lead rod as well, from any of the ice floors that we're going to be on. The primary goal of Mines Day 2 here is to get the iron that we need, which is 70. We're also going to be finishing up the last remaining copper and coal that we need, as well as collecting a bit more money. We don't quite have enough money from Mines Day 1 alone. This is one of the gem nodes I mentioned earlier, and I get quite lucky there and actually get a diamond, which is the most valuable gem you can get from there. That's 750 gold, so we're going to be all set on money for this run. That was a very lucky roll there. Those gem nodes can choose between any of the standard mines gems, so aquamarine, topaz, amethyst, jade, diamond, ruby, emerald, and diamond is the best one. So we got pretty lucky there. I do need to kill dust sprites for coal. This was one of the main reasons that I wanted an upgraded weapon earlier in the run, so a club or a forest sword, which would make quick work of these dust sprites. But unfortunately, I just have to swing away with my wooden sword to kill them. It's fairly slow, but you know, at this point we have to do it. We need coal. We need about 29 coal to finish the day. Oh, this is a really good floor. I kind of forgot that I had gotten such a good floor, but there, yeah, this is a ton of iron. And I'm actually going to craft a cherry bomb to help break it faster for me. In a lot of cases, it's a time save to use a cherry bomb, although you have to balance that closely because making one does actually use a piece of coal and 4 pieces of copper. So you have to balance using up your copper and your coal in order to get your iron faster. And at that point, I choose to use a bomb to get all that iron faster. Getting to floor 43 is good here because that lets us break these crates and hopefully get some more money, which we do. We get a jade and a frozen geode. The jade is worth 200 and the frozen geode is worth 100. So that's 300 extra gold that we got very quickly there. And with that diamond, I'm feeling very good about my money. I don't think we're gonna have any struggles getting up to 3,000 gold for the start of day 13. And if you're paying attention to the splits, you'll already know why we want that 3,000 gold. That's going to be to buy strawberry seeds from the Egg Hunt Festival. At this point, I'm pretty annoyed that I have to kill all these dust sprites with this wooden sword. A club would have made quick work of them, but we just kind of have to do what we need to do to get our coal. This is still a very fast run. That's why I'm making do with this wooden sword. Things actually get pretty dicey here. There's a lot of monsters swarming me, and you see my health bar is going down very quickly. This was a pretty stressful moment in the run. I was just a couple of seconds away from dying here. So I managed to just barely eat a cave carrot with 3 health remaining. We're not out of the woods yet, though, because we got slowed by the slime, and we just barely survived with 3 health again. And this is when I decided to get out of dodge. I quickly grabbed the crystal fruit, and I'm out of there. Yeah, that was a little bit stressful. In addition, that's pretty suboptimal to have to do because I'm pretty close to being finished with all of my resource gathering. And I don't want to be eating so much food because I still need to exhaust all that energy to be able to pass out and warp back to my house. But yeah, that was that was a tense moment in the run. We're at 61 iron now, just 9 more, and then I'll need to get 10 more copper and before I finish. I'm also technically a little bit short on coal, but I believe that I'll decide to go home with a short amount of coal and hope to make it up from rocks on the farm. It's a bit of a risky play, but I end up deciding to do that to save the time and hopefully leave the mines faster because it's just really slow to kill dust sprites with this wooden sword. So here I'm just collecting my last bits of copper, being very careful to dodge monsters because I only have 5 health. Basically, any monster hitting me will kill me, which would instantly kill the run as well. I wouldn't be able to continue. So we get our last bit of copper and we're going to swing our pickaxe wildly to exhaust ourselves and warp back to our house. We do lose a little bit of money from this. You lose 10% of your current funds whenever you pass out from a lack of energy. It's a common misconception. You don't lose any items when you pass out from a lack of energy. If I had been killed by a monster, I would lose items. But just for losing all of my energy, you don't lose any items, just money. And that's okay. It's only 45 gold that I lose. That's an easy price to pay for being able to warp directly home. So here I'm just selling all of my sellable items, and we're going to ship them for the money we need and then getting our inventory situated. Here I'm going to make a furnace and start smelting up all this iron and copper I collected, which the astute viewer might have realized already that these are going to be crafted into basic sprinklers. Since I have a perfect amount of money, 3,000, we progress to day 13 here, and I'm going to start clearing my farm in preparation for buying strawberry seeds at 9 a.m. from Pierre at the Egg Hunt Festival. Strawberries are great for this run for multiple reasons. They're going to give us a lot of farming experience so that we can craft those sprinklers sooner rather than later. And additionally, they're a very high value crop for their initial cost, which we'll use to springboard us into more crops once summer comes. So I'm going to clear my field here, gather up 50 wood and a total of 20 fiber. That's going to be to craft a scarecrow, which we'll need to protect our crops. We did get our required coal from the farm, so our gamble there paid off. We left the mines with 27, and we needed 29 for the run. We did get it from the farm, so that ended up working out in my favor. We want to pre-water all these spots because we have the time and the energy to do so. The Egg Hunt Festival does not open until 9 a.m., so I really have just free time here to do whatever I need to do. I'm going to be clearing the pathway over to the greenhouse a little bit here. That's some foreshadowing, which we will be doing much later in the run, but since we have the free time here, we're going to do that now. So when we get back from the festival here, we're going to plant those strawberry seeds on our pre-hoed and pre-watered ground. It stays hoed and watered all day for us, which is nice. We can quickly plant those strawberries and head off to bed while we continue smelting our copper and our iron. So strawberries take a total of 8 waters before they're ready to be harvested the first time. We're going to be carefully managing that here to maximize the chance that we get rain days. Rain days are great for this run because basically we don't have to water the strawberries on that day. Each rain day saves us about 30 seconds, so we did just get one there, which is great. We're hoping for at least 2 or 3 over the course of the 10 days that we're going to be watching our strawberries, of which they need water on 8 of them. So Marnie shows up as usual. We're not going to take the cat. We never do. She never seems to get the hint. I don't know why. Every single time I do one of these runs, I tell Marnie I don't want the cat. And every single time she keeps bringing the cat over. She's just not getting it. So we're starting to manually water these strawberries. I alluded to it earlier, but you know, another question that I get asked fairly commonly is, why don't you craft your sprinklers and put them down? You have all the materials smelted. Well, the answer is that we're not level 2 farming yet. We're relying on these strawberries to get level 2 farming. Strawberries are one of the most efficient ways to get level 2 farming in terms of amount of times that you need to water, because they give a very high amount of farming XP. Which is 18 per harvest, so we can get level 2 farming very quickly this way. We get pretty lucky there. We've gotten a total of 3 rain days, which is above average, so I'm very happy with that. We're only going to need to water these strawberries a total of 4 times by hand. About this point is when I realized that I don't have a daffodil, which is one of these spring forageable items that I'm going to need. So at this point, my mind is racing a little bit about whether I should go out and get a daffodil from the bus stop on Saturday the 27th. Or the other thing I could do is just give up on the spring forageables in total and hope that I get the required 3 summer forageable items instead, which would be grape, sweet pea, and spiceberry. You might be wondering why I care about the forageable items for the community center in a Joja run. All of this will become clear later, but yeah, we do care about this. We want the 4 forageable items from spring or the 3 from summer. We don't need both, but we do need at least one of those 2 options. So now that we're level 2 farming, we're going to put down our sprinklers, and now we can just sleep. The sprinklers will take care of those strawberries for us so that we get another harvest on the 28th of spring. At this point, I do decide that I am just going to go out and take the time lost to go get a daffodil from the bus stop. Unfortunately, we do lose about 20 seconds to having to do this, but as we'll see later, this ends up being the right choice for me to go ahead and do this. In an optimal situation, you would get the daffodil on the 5th or the 6th when you go to check the bus stop for the first time. Or if you don't get it there, you can also get one on Saturday the 13th before you go into the Egg Hunt Festival. Unfortunately, we didn't get a daffodil on either of those checks, so we do have to lose time to that. So here we're just getting our tools organized for summer, and we're going to go ahead and do our final strawberry harvest. And we're on to summer, which is a great season in Stardew Valley, and the reason for that is that we can plant blueberries. Memes aside, blueberries are a great crop to plant early game. They really do a great job at helping you springboard your money even further. They're cheap to plant. They only cost 80 gold a seed, and in total, from across all 4 harvests that you can get, you will earn about 650 gold from each blueberry seed, so that's a heck of an investment. And since we spent the time in the mines and in spring to get ourselves set up with 14 sprinklers, we can get a total of 62 blueberry plants set up, which is going to give us a ton of money. All we have to do here is wait until 9 o'clock for Pierre's shop to open. So we're going to be using that time to prep our field and then build ourselves some pathways to get over to the greenhouse faster, which is again some foreshadowing for later. There's some interesting things that go into Stardew speedruns that doesn't really translate to other speed games. But the interesting thing that I'm referring to is time. Basically, there's your real life time, obviously, which you're running against. But then there's also Stardew Valley time, where you cannot enter a shop until 9 a.m. in most cases. And then in this case right here, we can't actually trigger this scene to see Lewis open the community center for us until 8 o'clock a.m. So we basically have to wait until 8 a.m. So how are we going to route to make this the most efficient way possible? So in this case, we choose to clear our field and start prepping our farm for pathways. We're also going to run in and trigger the button in the community center here. That's going to cause the wizard to send us a letter so that we can learn how to speak Junimo. Again, this is a Joja Movie Theater speedrun, but it does benefit us greatly to unlock the community center. So in the Joja rule set, you have to complete all of the bundles through JojaMart, but that doesn't prevent you from completing specific small sections in the community center for the rewards. But we can't complete any full bundles through the community center. We need to pay for them all through the JojaMart. So here we buy 54 blueberries, 1 hot pepper, 1 tomato, and 1 melon. This coincidentally is all of the summer crops needed for the community center. We're going to plant all these blueberries. We're going to also plant the tomato and the melon. We're going to wait on the hot pepper. You'll see that we're going to plant the hot pepper on top of the finished melon spot. That actually allows us to get an extra blueberry plant. So I'm going to start sleeping while my blueberry plants grow. So I'm going to let you enjoy some of the wonderful Stardew Valley soundtrack for summer. So our first blueberry harvest is on summer the 15th. This is where we're going to replace the melon with the hot pepper plant. We'll do harvests on the 15th, 19th, 23rd, and 28th. So I do make a few mistakes in this run, and the first one here I do make, unfortunately. This is the first of 3 small mistakes I make throughout the run, which I refer to as CC brain. So basically I accidentally revert to the community center route, which would go out on summer the 20th to go back to the mines for the 3rd time. But obviously I don't need to do that in this run, and I do make a small mistake by going out when I should have continued sleeping and letting my crops grow. So I do leave a blueberry on the ground there, and you might be thinking, oh, you're losing money, but there's an interesting mechanic where player dropped items on the ground don't despawn unless you exit the title. So since we're not planning to do that, that blueberry will still be on the ground for our next harvest. That's just a small thing that I do. to ensure that I don't lose time by running out of my way to go get a blueberry. So as I path past there on this final harvest, I'll make sure I pick up that blueberry. This is where I realized it was a good gamble to go ahead and get the daffodil all the way back in spring, because there is no grape nor spiceberry that appeared on the farm. So I would have been up a creek without a paddle if I had relied on the summer forageables for this next upcoming segment. So with all of my blueberries harvested and sold, keeping one each of the summer crops, we are on to fall. It is my favorite season in Stardew Valley because we can plant pumpkins, which we are going to be doing here very shortly. Pumpkins are an excellent crop, especially under sprinklers and with what we're going to be doing shortly, which is making jars. This is really what we've been ramping up to. Making pumpkin pickles is one of the most profitable things you can do in Stardew Valley. We're going to quickly read our mail, which we just did, and that lets us see the letter from the wizard, which lets us go into his tower and meet him and learn how to read Junimo. We're going to take all of our forageables with us, our summer crops, and our excess stone and wood. All that stuff we're going to take with us to go meet the wizard. Inventory management is a big thing in the Stardew Valley speedrun. We want to make sure that at all times we are aware of what we want to be carrying and whether we have enough spots too. So here we have just barely enough spots to carry everything. That final 12th spot, which has weeds in it now, if I had any extra coal, we would have that coal in that spot. Stone, coal, and wood are coincidentally the materials that are needed to craft jars. But since I don't have any coal, that spot is open. We have just barely enough spots for this day because we also need a tool to be able to break debris in our way, which we have the axe for. So now that we've met the wizard there, we can read Junimo, which lets us actually turn in bundles to the community center. The two highly valuable bundles that we'll be turning in are spring forageables and summer crops. The spring forageables are easy to get, and we get 30 spring seed packets, which are worth 1,350 G, which helps us get more money for our pumpkin seeds and our jars. But primarily we need to do that so that we can open up the pantry, which allows us to turn in the summer crops bundle, which is one of the best bundles in the game in my opinion, because it gives you a quality sprinkler. Growing the summer crops is really easy, and you get an extra quality sprinkler, which is 8 additional farming spots for free. We're going to be taking a huge advantage of this in our run. I did some quick math on it, and this quality sprinkler that we're going to get is going to, over the course of the entire run, give us about 100,000 extra gold. I haven't specifically mentioned it, but the Joja Movie Theater speedrun is essentially a money speedrun. We need to collect 140,000 gold to complete the community center through JojaMart, and then we need an additional 500,000 gold to convert the warehouse into the movie theater. So having a quality sprinkler to get us an extra 100k is extremely valuable. Here we're buying 128 pumpkin seeds because we have 64 farming spots now with our quality sprinkler. And we're going to be doing 2 rounds of pumpkins. Also, if you're a community center enjoyer, you might want to look away here as I buy a Joja membership. But you clicked on the video that said it was a Joja Movie Theater speedrun, so I don't know what you were expecting. But yeah, we do buy a Joja membership here. The last thing we're going to be doing on this day in the shopping districts is buying the materials for jars. So we need to get 80 coal from Clint, and then we're going to go and buy stone and wood from Robin. Buying materials from shops is something that most casuals don't tend to do, but is an extremely valuable and fast way to get materials in a speedrunning setting. So you just sleep days growing crops to get money, and then you can go and use that money to buy raw materials from the shopkeeper. So that's I mean, it would take absolutely forever to get 80 coal otherwise, but we were able to just buy it from Clint. We'll be doing the same thing with robins for wood and stone. Unfortunately, this is where I do make my second CC brain mistake. I buy the wrong amount of stone, which messes up my money. And you see me pausing for a second there as I realize my mistake. I bought 500 stone instead of 400, so I need to frantically sell it back in the hopes that I have enough to get the 500 wood that I need for my jars. So I do unfortunately lose a little bit of time here, but we managed to scrape by with just enough with our 500 wood, 400 stone, and 80 coal for 10 jars. So all we need to do to finish out this day is plant our pumpkins, put down our brand new quality sprinkler, and start sleeping. We have the materials for jars, but we're not going to bother crafting them yet because we don't have anything to put in them. So now that it's the 15th, we're going to craft up our jars and flip our pumpkins. This is going to get our money machine rolling finally. You might have noticed that we're 42 minutes into this money speed run and we haven't really made any money yet. Everything we've earned so far has been reinvested. But now our money machine is really going to get rolling here. As I mentioned, pumpkin pickles is one of the fastest ways to earn money in a speed run because you just sleep with your crops under jars, or I'm sorry, excuse me, with your crops under sprinklers, and you put your pumpkins into jars, and every pickled pumpkin is worth 690 gold, and you can flip those pumpkins in the jars very quickly as you sleep the days. This is a highly profitable and fast way of making money. Unfortunately, I leave the jars in the chest there. Small mistake. This is a good time to talk about some of the interesting various ways that you can make money in speedrunning Stardew. There's really three main ways, in my opinion. There is what I'm doing now, which is basically cycling crops under sprinklers and then jarring them. This is typically used in longer speedruns. For example, Community Center, this run. Perfection does something similar. That run even has time to make kegs and get wine, which is an even more profitable way. But for the most part, we don't do kegs because they're much more difficult to get than jars. There's winter tilling, which is a strategy developed mostly by Piano Addict, which basically you go to the beach in winter and till in a specific pattern to get the winter forageable items. That's profitable and a fast way to make money in a sort of a intermediate way because there's a cap to how fast you can get the money that way. But it ramps up much faster than getting jars. And then there's a few other small ways of making money that aren't typically used for anything other than a really short speed run, like the vault, which only grows blueberries to make its money, or in some alternate strategies does things like tea saplings. But yeah, it's I find it interesting to figure out the best way to make money for your speedrun. So there's three money speedruns that I mentioned, which are Vault, JojaMart, which is just the community center through Joja, and then this run, which is the Joja Movie Theater, which are respectively 42,500, 140,000, and 640,000 gold required. And all three of those speedruns use different methods of making money, which I just find very interesting. It really has to do with how quickly or slowly those strategies ramp up compared to one another. So what we're doing now of the three is the slowest initial ramp up, but once you're up to speed, you're making money much faster than the other methods. So for example, it would take absolutely ages to make 640,000 gold using winter tilling. But we're able to do it relatively quickly here with jars because of all the effort that we put in initially to go to the mines, get sprinklers, get money for crops, get jars, etc., etc. So we've entered what we like to call the Great Hibernation. So we're not going to leave the house at all through the entirety of winter. We're basically just sleeping past each day while we continue to jar up our pumpkins. We're making boatloads of money here, even though we're not doing anything other than jarring. So I hope you're enjoying the run, and we'll have more commentary once we get into spring of year 2. So as we wrap up winter here, we go out and ship our pumpkins so that we have lots of money available for the start of spring year 2. Our jars are going to lay idle here for a little while, which might seem a little bit silly, but it ends up working out for us to have more jars than we need at this particular instance, because later on we're going to be able to cycle a different crop much more quickly. So you might have missed it there, but I did, in that split instance there, grab the tree from my house. We're going to be using that for a cheeky little strategy to block Pam at the front of her house so that she runs to the bus stop faster for some reason. Yeah, for some reason, NPCs in Stardew, if they get blocked from their normal walking path, they get all upset at you and they run their paths much faster. We'll be using that to ensure that Pam gets to the bus faster for us. So as usual, we need to wait until 9 o'clock in order to really be able to do anything at the shops. So we're taking that time to hoe out our field here, get ready for spring crops, which is going to be cauliflower. Spring crops aren't that great in this game, especially cauliflower. It's nowhere near as good as pumpkins or star fruit, which we're going to be planting in summer, but it is better than doing nothing. And we'll be primarily using the money from the cauliflowers to help do Joja upgrades faster. So since the shops don't open till 9, we really want to minimize the number of times that we go out, i.e. we leave the house. So every time that we go out to buy seeds or buy resources or anything like that, we also want to do a Joja upgrade, because we can only do one a day, and there are 6 times that we need to go to JojaMart, not including the very final time. So we need to get the membership and then each of the 5 upgrades, and you can only do 1 per day. So we really want to optimize that to only go out a total of 6 times. So since we have our JojaMart membership, we can wait here, and we're going to do our first upgrade at 9 o'clock. The first upgrade we're going to do is the vault for 40,000 gold, and that'll give us access to the bus to the desert. This is extremely important because it also gives us access to the oasis, where we can buy starfruit seeds in summer. Starfruit is one of the best crops in the game, probably the best crop in the game for this strategy. It's just really high value, so you get a lot of money out of your effort for starfruit. But since it's spring, we're going to buy cauliflower and go plant those, sort of as a stepping stone to bigger and better things later. So believe it or not, I mean, even with about 30 minutes left in the run here, this is more or less the end game. Since this is a money speed run, primarily the remaining things that we need to do is sleep, grow crops, jar the crops, and then buy JojaMart upgrades. The order in which we do the upgrades is very deliberate, and I'll talk more about that as we get to it. It's definitely not a random order. It has a lot to do with what we can do with the upgrades to further our goals, as well as how much money we have available on each specific day that we go out to the shops and other tasks. So we got pretty lucky. This is the first and only fairy that we get during the run. Fairies were meant to be something helpful provided by the game's creator to help you grow up your crops faster, but unfortunately in this run, fairies are just a nuisance. Our crops were already going to grow up on the schedule that we planned with our sprinklers. So the fairy cutscene just ends up being about a 45-second time loss that we can't skip. Fairies in this game have a 2-season cooldown per se, so when you get a fairy in a night event, another fairy cannot appear for at least 2 entire seasons afterwards. So we got pretty lucky that we only get 1 fairy in this run. In the worst case scenario, you could get up to 3. We're prioritizing first jarring the basic quality cauliflowers. And the reason for that is just because they're worth less, so we're getting a better bang for our buck by jarring those first, and we'll be selling some of the golden and silver quality ones directly for a bit of extra cash to help us out with our JojaMart upgrades. We're growing more cauliflowers than we strictly need to keep our jars running. And as soon as possible, we're going to be switching to starfruit, which is just a better crop to jar than cauliflower. So the extras will be kept to sell directly. So we're back to summer yet again. And as I mentioned, we're going to be upgrading to starfruit. Starfruit is really the crop that's going to send us into the stratosphere for this run. It's going to help us get money much faster than any other crop. And it's the main reason why, at this point, even though we really haven't made all that much money, we're pretty close to done, actually. Starfruit's just an insane crop. Seeds cost 400 gold at the Oasis. And then a base quality starfruit harvested 13 days later is worth 750, 825 with the tiller perk. And then when you jar it or keg it, it becomes worth 2 to 3 times more. So it's just an insane crop for a speedrun like this. We're just going to be earning money so fast. Every single starfruit jelly is worth 2,170 gold with the artisan perk, which we will be getting here as well. Something that's even more insane about starfruit is just how much experience it gives. 43 farming experience per crop. So at this point, we're not really anywhere near farming level 10, which requires a total of 15,000 farming experience. But once we get online with starfruits, we're going to actually get that perk fairly quickly. Artisan is great for this because it makes all of your jellies worth 40% more than normal. So we're going to be buying the minecarts upgrade from JojaMart today. The reason for that is primarily because it's the cheapest one, and we don't have that much extra money today because we have been growing cauliflowers, which is a lower value crop. And also we want to spend a lot of money on starfruit seeds, which are 400 each. There is also some small benefit to the minecarts to us, and in order to be able to warp around the map faster. Although that benefit is pretty heavily reduced by the fact that we already have to wait till 9 o'clock every day that we go out anyway for the shops to open. So we pretty much have enough time to walk wherever we need to go. So you can see me there just grabbing the minimum number of cauliflowers that I need to keep in my inventory, which is 30. And we'll be selling all the rest of them directly. We only need 30 to keep our jars going until our starfruit is grown. And luckily for us, since we sped her up, Pam is already ready for us. She's ready to take us to the desert. And I mess up and walk past the bus terminal. A little bit of an unknown fact for most people, I think, is that you can actually press Y to quickly pass through most prompts in the game that are yes, no. So getting on the bus, we were able to get on the bus really quickly there by spamming Y right as we interacted with the bus. That's just a small speedrunning trick that we use to get through those prompts faster and save just a second or two. So starfruit is just such a fun crop to plant. I love whenever I get to do starfruit in a speedrun. So we're putting our starfruit down, and we're gonna let it grow. So now that it's the 15th, we thank the cauliflower for its service, but we are on to bigger and better things. Our first harvest of starfruit is done. We have 64 more that we already purchased, so we don't need to go back to the oasis. We can just go ahead and put our second harvest down right away. Optimizing things like this is good because we don't have to wait until 9 o'clock again for the shops to open, since we bought our seeds in advance. Since starfruit is a summer crop, we can only do 2 harvests on the outside, but don't worry, we have a plan for that. The next Joja upgrade we're going to get is the greenhouse, which I alluded to a couple of times much earlier. The greenhouse is going to let us continue planting starfruits throughout the fall and the winter. So every single time I load a jar from here on out, we're earning 2,170 gold towards our total necessary. Again, we're prioritizing jarring our basic starfruit. We're growing a lot more than we actually have time to jar, and that's fine because we are going to end up selling quite a few of those raw at the end of the run to get our total money needed. As mentioned before, this final harvest of starfruit is what we need to finally get the artisan perk. So we're not going to sell everything overnight here. We're going to wait for the morning. That's a little known fact as well. You do not get the benefits of the perk on the same night that you get it. So we just got artisan now. We can sell our jellies for an additional 40% profit. We're going to pick up all of our sprinklers here and get ready to go and do the greenhouse upgrade. I don't really know why I had it out for that tree in particular, but you know. And this unfortunately just kind of is the name of the game for Joja speedruns. We pretty much just need to stand here and wait until 9 o'clock so that we can go to Pierre's and sell our jelly. Gus is such a cheater. How come he gets to go in before us? In all seriousness, though, you know, it could be tempting to block Gus to spite him for being able to get in before us, but we do actually move aside to let him through, because if we block him, he will continue to be in our way when 9 o'clock does roll around, so we just kind of let him go. One theory is that Gus has the key to the town, so he gets to go in before 9 o'clock. Since we have the minecarts available now, we can quick warp over to the bus stop where we're going to go and get a whole nother round of starfruit seeds. And since we sped her up, Pam is basically waiting for us. So 128 is the name of the game here. Get another 2 rounds of seeds. I would get more, but I need to be able to keep 20,000 gold here for tomorrow. So now we're all set up to do more starfruit in the greenhouse. We just need to have it repaired by Joja. The 20,000 gold that I mentioned is an optimization that I came up with really at the last minute here, right before I did this particular run. Since we need to go out today and plant our starfruit, this takes quite a bit of time actually. And it's more efficient to do another Joja upgrade today back to back, since we have the cash available to do it, and we're basically spending all this time out anyway getting our starfruit set up. So we're going to go back to Joja again today after we're all done in the greenhouse. I estimate this is probably about 3 minutes faster than my previous route that I had been doing. I don't know about you, but I think it's just really beautiful to put such a lovely basic sprinkler layout in the greenhouse. This just really warms my heart to see such a nice, efficient layout in the greenhouse. So really, this is the final end game of the run here. I mean, we're just going to be cycling starfruit in the greenhouse, continuing to jar it. We just need to, at this point, the only thing left to do is upgrade the quarry, and then that will complete the community center, and then spend the 500,000 on the Joja Movie Theater. So if you've made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is going to be the end of my commentary on this new world record for the Joja Movie Theater. Thanks again. And if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe.